Isabella from Change, and this is Give Smart, where we turn the legal side of cause marketing into clear next steps. Each episode, we sit down with leaders who are building donation experiences that scale, stay compliant, and actually convert. Today, I'm joined by Ryan Jaffe, CEO and founder of Boundless Giving. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us today. A quick intro to you and Boundless Giving. What sparked the idea, and why build this really cool marketplace?
Sure. Thank you for having me. It's great to speak with you and support Change. I was a screenwriter for 25 plus years. That was my passion and my dream. It's why I moved to California. I fulfilled it and had a couple movies made and was kind of just going along doing that. And what happened was I kind of had a COVID reckoning, like many people, and decided that I wanted to do something that made more of an impact on the world, and started looking around the nonprofit space and just seeing where there were problems, where was somewhere that I could possibly help, and discovered that there are a lot of problems in the fundraising space. Nonprofits spend a huge portion of their budgets on fundraising, and when people get into creating nonprofits, they don't get in it to necessarily fundraise. They get into it to pursue a mission, something is calling them. And so when I found out that so much time was being spent on the fundraising piece, I thought, how can I create something where we can just make it easy to bring dollars to nonprofits without them having to do any work? And so that was the mission. Initially, the first idea for Boundless Giving was really just an auction platform, something that was borderless, could create community, could take an item that maybe was limited to the 200 parents at a school and make it available to the entire country. And so as we started out building that, and in the process of building that, added a shopping cart, it became a lot more dynamic. And it was about that time that I started reading articles about companies like Burberry burning $30 million worth of perfectly good unsold product. I discovered that almost $200 billion a year of unsold non-perishable product is landfill, burned, or put on a boat to open air markets in Africa every year. And I thought, well, if there's all this product out there, here's an opportunity where we can go to companies and ask them to partner with nonprofits and turn that product into cash for nonprofits. So that's really where we pivoted towards, and what Boundless Giving is all about now, which is matching brands with nonprofits to sell excess new limited edition product and give a minimum of 40% of proceeds to nonprofits. It can go anywhere from 40 to 80%, but that was another part of this. When you see promotional sales, a lot of times it's 1%, it's a roundup, it's 5%, and I wanted to flip that and make sure that the nonprofit was getting the bulk of the proceeds that were coming to any kind of promotion that was going on with the brand.
That's really incredible. The 40% minimum is really compelling, I'm sure, for nonprofits too. Does Boundless help match the nonprofit to the companies that have this excess product, or is that done more organically?
No, it's a critical part of our model, which is a lot of times you have companies, they have a CEO that might have a cause that they care about, but it doesn't necessarily align with what their product is or what they're selling. So we do an AI driven demographic analysis between brands and nonprofits. We get a sense of who's the donor base of a nonprofit, who's the customer base of a brand. Will the customers of this brand support this nonprofit? Will the donors of this nonprofit buy the products that we're offering, in order to make sure that they are well aligned, both in terms of taste and just the size of the nonprofits and the brands. So it's a really critical part, and where we think we're differentiating, and what kind of has been standard practice in sort of these partnerships in the past.
Could you walk us through the shopping experience with Boundless? Is it just like from start to finish? At what points do you find that conversion is most important, or like really helps the shopper like actually check out?
Well, I think that, we try to make it as much of a straightforward e-commerce experience as possible. The sense of like shop to give, our theory that people do want to give, but they also kind of want that handbag, they want that dress, they want it at a price that they feel good about buying it. So we try to like really highlight the product first, and then one of the different between how the Boundless platform works and other e-commerce sites or even promotions is that every time you go to purchase something on Boundless Giving, you see exactly how much is being donated to the cause. In and we have two campaigns going on right now. One offers 40%, another offers 80% or 70%. And so you will see, the buyer will see how much is actually going to the nonprofit before they purchase. And so that's a critical part of the checkout process. And then otherwise it's fairly standard, but we're firm believers in transparency, and so you're seeing how much is being donated, and then all the other potential line items that go into just making a purchase.
Early go-to-market is all about focus. How did you choose your first nonprofit partners and the types of products to feature as well? So like finding the companies with excess product and the first nonprofit partners, how did those come together?
Desperation, we're a brand new marketplace with a brand new concept. Where can we find people willing to innovate in a space that has longed for innovation? One of our investors was on the board of an amazing nonprofit called the Life Rolls On Foundation. They do surf therapy for kids that have, and adults that have had either, injuries or mental challenges, and they get them out on a surfboard. And I remember the first day I just went and visited them on the beach and just couldn't believe what an amazing organization this was. And one of their supporters was the CEO of Quicksilver. And so we got connected with Quicksilver, and they were like, come on down and take what we have. And there were just pallets of goods. And so it was Quicksilver, it was Board Riders. Well, Board Riders owns Quicksilver, but it was Quicksilver, it was DC Shoes, it was Roxy, Hurley. It was just like, I think Hurley. There was just a huge array of brands, and that's how the first sale was launched.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we did a pop-up. We did a pop-up in person at the beach for one of the Life Rolls On events. And it was incredible because people were there in wetsuits and did not have cash on them. It was not, they didn't know we were going to show up. They didn't know that there was a sale going on. When you tell somebody that at the time they were getting 80%, Hurley or Board Riders had donated everything, 100%. So they were getting 80% of everything that we sold. And when you tell somebody, hey, here's this hoodie, you're getting it for 50% off, and 80% of every dollar you're handing me right now is going directly to this organization that you support, they were like, okay, give me another one. It was great because the value proposition to somebody who already supports that organization was pretty quality.
Switching gears a smidge, running these sorts of charitable campaigns and activities require some legal compliance work in the back. I'm wondering how you came across Change and what gap you were looking to fill by using a partner like Change.
I came to Change through a marketing consultant who had worked with them in the past and recommended them highly. Met Amr and just talked through, the conditions with which Boundless Giving was coming into this world. Number one, no knowledge whatsoever of compliance, CCVs, regulatory filings, any of these things. We knew we had to do them, but I come from Hollywood. It's not something I'd ever dealt with before. And then just talking through to him about, we were a startup, we're figuring it out as we go. Can they be, work with us as a partner, both in terms of pricing, patience, a lot of different things that made it, they were very collaborative and open to working out, like growing with us as we embarked on this journey.
I've heard from other founders in this space that it's just very overwhelming at the start because you are focused on, as a founder, you're focused on the more exciting parts of your job, which include, I'd imagine, finding the nonprofit partners, like building the actual company, building the site, building the product, but the compliance stuff can really bog people down. You mentioned CCVs really briefly. Can you talk a little bit more about when you, just like the process of figuring out that you are a CCV or that what you need?
I'll talk about it to the extent that I actually know what I'm talking about, which is probably 50% of what you're supposed to actually just be able to rattle off. We had a consultant that worked with nonprofits. They had pitched Boundless Giving to somebody, and that somebody sent them a presentation that talked all about CCVs. I did not even know what a CCV was. I did not know it was a requirement or anything like that. I read through that and learned about what the legal requirements are of connecting brands with nonprofits, and that anytime you do any kind of promotion with one, it is considered a corporate co-venture, and therefore there are rules that you must follow. Most, all really designed to protect the consumer and make sure that they know that money is actually being directed in the right place, that the platform that's selling it is compliant with all of those rules. Once I understood, the good news for us was that we were already doing pretty much everything other than the technical piece of the CCV. Transparency is a central tenet of what Boundless Giving is. I think especially generationally, people are more skeptical of where their dollars are going, how they're being used. A lot of time it's this kind of amorphous proceeds concept goes to a cause. And so it was already central to our business that we be very transparent about how the dollars were spent, where they were going, how much was going to a nonprofit. And that's really what the essence to me of what a CCV is, letting the consumer know that they're being protected and that money is going where people say it's actually going. And so from there, it was really like following the legal and regulatory requirements to make that official, but it fit into the philosophy of Boundless anyway. So it was an easy thing to kind of take care of.
That's a really refreshing take, actually, because when I've spoken with other people about this, it can feel very overly technical, and you're just getting into the weeds of things, and you forget almost what the point is. So I appreciate what you said about the consumer protection aspect of it. That is why these laws exist at all. And it's
unfortunately,
it's
get a situation where one regulation is instituted, then another regulation, and other the dates with which you have to it's different for all these different states, and it does become overwhelming, and you wonder yes, there's a point to which there are people out there that are going to take advantage of a system and take advantage of people, but it becomes very overwhelming for a new business especially one that's trying to do good, to participate, because it's expensive and because it's confusing. There are still certain things that, because it almost gets lumped into the taxation and the accounting, it's just another thing that you have to do in order to simply just run a sale.
Yeah, I think that's good feedback for the regulators. Looking ahead, I'm really curious to hear about any upcoming collaborations or launches or anything that you're excited about.
Okay, so we currently are doing 2 amazing campaigns, one with Farity and a nonprofit called Girls for a Change. Farity has generously donated 300 pieces to the sale, with all proceeds going to support the Girls for a Change. So ultimately, that's 70% of every dollar that comes through is going directly to support an amazing nonprofit. And we're also doing something with a brand called Surfside Supply Company and a nonprofit called A Walk on Water. And A Walk on Water happens to be another surf-based rehabilitation charity. They're an incredible organization, and I'm super proud to be working with both of them.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
And then coming up in the next couple months, I think we've got something going with the ALS network. We're working with Step Up. There's a host of nonprofits that we're working with, and thrilled to be just trying. It's a trying time right now for nonprofits. Their grants are being cut off left and right. It is a really difficult time for nonprofits, and it is a great time for innovation because they have to do something in order to stay solvent and continue to pursue their missions.
If any nonprofits are interested in learning more about Boundless, what would you recommend they do?
Send me an email and we'll talk, and we make it very easy for you. There's the whole concept coming into this was make it easy for nonprofits, make it so that they already are completely strapped in terms of time and resources. So how do we just simply put money in the pockets of nonprofits? This is a way to do it. And without the nonprofit, other than tapping into their audience and saying, hey, this is going on, we want you to participate, they're not really required to do anything. That goes even creating social media and email assets. We will do all of it for you, and we will make sure that you are getting the lion's share of the proceeds.
I really love this mission. I think this is a really, really cool and interesting idea. And just want to say thank you for your time, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now go shop and go support these causes, Isabella.
Will do. You don't have to tell me twice to shop.